How do you build a super team on Football Manager? You've probably been in this situation where you know you have the perfect tactic and you've nailed most of your team talks, you even nailed all the team instructions and player instructions. You have everything all set up perfectly, but somehow you still finish below the top four or even mid-table. The problem isn't really your tactic, it's probably your squad. See, I've won multiple saves on Football Manager. I've also transformed a lot of teams. I remember taking Barry from the non-existent county football leagues all the way to the championship, and even also transformed Atletico Madrid from the normal team that was always competing with FC Barcelona and Real Madrid and made them the best team in La Liga and also the best team in the world beyond PSG and everybody in FM 2024. So in all that time, I realized that the most important thing in Football Manager wasn't really the tactic, because I went on to change my tactic a lot. Sometimes it helped, but you're going to go ahead and change your tactic a lot. You can't really depend on one tactic. But what is most important in Football Manager is not even the formation, it's having the right group of players in your team. And even with the perfect tactic or the right tactic, if you don't have the right players and your players cannot play that tactic, you're basically stuck. So today I'm breaking down the exact 8 system method that I use to build this elite squads in Football Manager for every single step of the way. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how you can find, evaluate, and sign players that make your tactic actually work and even help you dominate the elite clubs in the game. But first, we need to understand what makes a good squad. You see, there isn't just one main idea of what a good squad is. It's kind of relative to the league that you're playing in. You see, if you're managing in League 2, like you're managing a team like Portsmouth or Bury with a 500k budget, a good squad looks very different from a team like Manchester City or PSG that have over 250 million in their budget to actually spend. And this is where most Football Manager players tend to fail. You know, they're aiming to try to sign the best players even when they don't have the best team with the best budget, and often you're going to spend a lot of money and you may not even end up keeping the player because he may get unsettled and want to leave the club and you may end up losing him on a free. So here's what you actually need to do. You need to go into your league and go into your club and compare your team with league average. This is quite simple to do in Football Manager, but a lot of people overlook it. So for example, we're in the Argentina division now. We're currently managing Independiente. This is 2030. We've done some team building in this, and we're going to look at the Argentina Premier Division. We're currently in the closing stage. If we go over to the competition here, Argentina Premier Division, and go over to the stages, when you go ahead and click on stages, it's going to take you to another page, and then you just look at the bottom corner here, you're going to see season preview. When you go ahead and click the season preview, you will see who the best teams are in the league, and then you're also going to see where you rack up against them. So we're currently managing Independiente. We are 4th in the division, and then the very best team is River Plate. If you go ahead and unselect this option and just click somewhere else, or you press escape, or maybe you go back and come back, like do not select any league, any team in the league. Just make sure that the preview is currently selected, so no team is selected. You're going to see who the key players in the league are. Just at the bottom left or the center bottom here, you can see that the key player here is Tobias Gonzalez. There's also another player here in Lautaro Rivero and another guy from River Plate. So River Plate has 3 players that are in the top category for the best players in the league. So if I go ahead and click Lautaro Rivero here, you can see that he's a centre back and also an inside fullback, sort of playing on the left hand side. His player marking, looking at the key attributes for a defender, marking, tackling, and bravery, maybe not bravery that much, but composure, concentration, anticipation, maybe pace, but key attributes, marking and tackling. So I want the player that I'm going to search for in order to improve my team and make them as good as River Plate will be to sign a central defender that has marking above 13 or tackling above 13 as well. So 13 seems like the golden number. So if I go over to my recruitment tab and then go over to player database, say we want to go ahead and search for a player. There are over 18,000 players in my game. It's a small database. I'm going to go ahead and edit, search, and of course choose the center back position, go to condition, and maybe select attributes. Under attributes, you can see, okay, marking is a technical attribute, right? So go back to marking, go ahead and select attribute, or you can just choose an attribute over here, select marking, select tackling as well. Maybe for a defender, I'm going to want to have composure and concentration just to be in the game a lot. So you can see that the attribute is set to at least 15. I'm just going to drop that down to 13 or maybe 14, but let's just try 13 and go ahead and click apply. That limits us to 18 players in the shortlist that are possible for you to sign. Now, not all of them are going to want to come, but you can see that there's a centre back here, 33 years of age. It's probably too old for my squad, but you can filter it by age as well, and then you can see who the younger players are, starting from the youngest. But you can see there's a 25-year-old guy here, Mateo Mendoza, playing at Godoy Cruz. He's going to cost us about 13 million. And then of course there's another guy, Falison. He's about 24 years of age. If you go ahead and select Falison, he's currently unhappy at his club. but you can see that his marking and tackling are quite good. If you go ahead and look at his height, he's about 6 foot. So he's one of the players that if you bring into this team, he's going to actually improve our squad and help us at least be able to compete with River Plate in the defensive side of things. Your job isn't really to build a world-class. Your job is to build a better team than everyone else that is playing in your league. This is how you're going to rank up the ladder, and it's obviously going to take some time depending on how long your save is going to be. With Berry, I think I had like 11 seasons in F24, so it took us a bit of time, but step by step you're going to get there. Once you understand that, everything starts to become clear and you know exactly what you're looking for when you're going out to buy players. Not just buying players and giving random money to other teams that have 5-star potential players. You don't really want to look at potential, but we're going to get to that much later. Second thing you want to do is to get your scouting reports ready. You see, this is the foundation of all the work that you're going to do. Without good intel, you're not really going to know who the good players are and how you can actually buy them, and all the other methods that I'm going to share with you might not really work. So set up your scouting assignments, targeting specific kind of players that you need, specific positions, specific attributes, and also maybe player budget range that you can actually go and assign. Keep it within your budget and the amount of money that you're willing to spend. You're not just going to select, maybe you want a center forward and then ask the scout to give you a center forward. Maybe you can try that, but what you want to look for when you're looking at players, look for a center forward that can actually press. Also want to look for maybe a center forward that is left-sided in case you already have a right-sided center forward. Look for a left-sided center forward. Also look for a center back that is really tall and dominant in the air. Some very, very good, expensive Football Manager center backs are about 5'11" or 5'8". So, okay, maybe 5'10", but that's not very good center back, despite being expensive and have superior attributes. He's not the tallest, so he's not going to be very good. A center back that is half as good as he is and is 6'3" is 10 times better than a center back that is 5'10" and has maybe all the attributes. That's what I've noticed from my experience. So you want to be very specific about who you're signing. You want a center back that is dominant in the air, is also not injury prone. So this is how you're going to go about your scouting. Give your assignments to the scouts and help them to do the work. Give it like 2 or 3 weeks, those results are going to come back, and then comb through the report and look for specific players by yourself. Don't just look for the player that has the highest price tag and maybe is the youngest and then you think that is going to be the very best player. It's not always the case. Now the third method, which is my personal favorite, is how to scout within your low budget. But in case you're managing in the lower leagues, your budget is limited and everyone else probably has a lot more money than you, especially if you just got promoted. So you want to try to get players that are easy bargain signings. You may not be able to compete with the big clubs and always buy players with clear money, but you can, however, time the situation and get in there before the big clubs actually get them. You see, you want to set your players that have release clauses that are within your target budget. If those players actually pop up in your search, set your players that are also within clubs that need a lot of money. So you want to look for clubs that are in financial struggles, knowing that they are willing to sell those players off. Try to get players from those clubs because there's going to be an easy sell. The negotiation is not going to be that difficult. You can also look for players that have 1 year left on their contract. And these are almost bargain signings. There are a lot of them on Football Manager. I also recommend that you look for players that are unsettled at their clubs. The problem with these guys is that when they come to your club, they might also become unsettled. But to be honest with you, it's one of the easy ways to get good players, really, really good players towards the end of their contracts. Look for them that are kind of unsettled. Maybe they're not getting game time in their clubs. They're really, really good, but they're kind of stuck at Chelsea that have all these other good players as well. Or maybe they're in Madrid that have a lot of good players. So you want to look for those players that are exceptionally good, but they can't really get in the team yet, so you want to get them out of those clubs and bring them into your club. Another thing you can do that is pretty similar to the last one I just mentioned is to find free players or free agent players. These free agent players, they are not really like players that are rejected. Like I mentioned, some of them have trouble in the club and then they refused to sign their contract. How many times have you noticed this situation where you have a very good player in your squad, likely one of the best players in your team, all of a sudden he decides that he doesn't want to sign the contract because maybe you didn't play him in the right player role, or he just decides that he wants to move to a bigger club. Even when the conversation doesn't go correctly, he doesn't end up at a big club, he ends up just leaving the club and going to another club that's maybe even lower than your club because he didn't want to stay in the club anymore. That situation happens even for you as well. You want to look at the AI clubs that most of them, maybe they have players that are currently not in the mood to be at the club anymore, they are unhappy and then they want to leave. You want to target those players and sign them and bring them into your club. Even as a team in the lower division, if you see another club that is much better than you and then you have players that are trying to move on from the club, and then let's say you're in the championship and then Liverpool has an elderly player that is looking to leave the club, very good player, but he doesn't have a space in the team, you can bring him into the championship and help him to become an elite super player in the championship for your team. Another method that I want to mention is loans, but I'm not really a fan of loans because sometimes if you're in the lower leagues, you might end up paying money for some loan players. So in case you want to do loans, I do recommend that you look for players that have loans that are possibly You don't have to pay their salaries. You can do this by becoming an affiliate of the club. In case you're a smaller club, you can try to build senior affiliates and get most of their players without having to pay the loan fee. But in case you absolutely need the player, you can go ahead and pay the loan fee. Bring him in for a season. Just look at the wage budget, make sure it doesn't get out of your budget. But I do recommend that if you're doing those loans with pay, try to fill in the mandatory or optional fee to buy the player eventually after he has a very good season for you. That way, the loan eventually is going to turn into a full buy, and then you can end up keeping the player. This next method is the very most important method that you can use to build a super team, and that is getting, probably what I should have said first, this is getting rid of the players that are not good enough in your team. You need to go through your squad player by player and look at each and every single one of them and make sure that they are of the quality that you need to move on to the next level. Now, I do have this problem where sometimes when I get promoted, the striker that I used before to score a lot of goals and help us get promoted, I tend to keep him for another season in the upper division before I look towards selling him. But don't be like me. If you have a replacement on hand for that guy, go ahead and sell your player. Just look at every player in your squad as players that are worth selling, and you can make more money from them and get better players from them, because there is always a better player in Football Manager. However, there's going to get to a point where you're managing at the elite, super elite level, where you know that exceptionally good players are already in your team. And in this situation, in case you buy somebody, you want to be very comfortable selling the other players, knowing that you have the very best defensive midfielder in the game. The key point here is get the very best player into your team. If you do not have him yet, keep selling players off until you find him. And when you find the very best player for a position in your game, you don't really have to sell him until he gets towards the latter stage of his career, maybe 29, 30, 31, even 33 at the point. I still had very good players that were the very best players in the game. Even at 33, I didn't really need to sell them. They were still bullying all the other teams. So you can keep them that long. And if you study the AI very well, study teams like Real Madrid, PSG, Man City, most of their very good players are already, they're in their 30s. So to be honest, if you play the game long enough, you will notice this as well. So what I tend to do is just follow what the AI is doing, because they can't be doing it wrong. So if you have elite players, and then if you have very good players in your team, remember, you can sell them off. But when you get the absolute best player for that position in your game, in your save, do not sell him until maybe he's ready to retire or something. You can sell him maybe 1 year before he retires. That is how you have a super team all the time. Now, another one that is really interesting is trying to scout teams that are outside of the European top 5 leagues. Everybody believes that the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, French League 1, these are the leagues that you can go about finding players, but that is not the case of Football Manager. If you look at where the best players are signed from in Football Manager, if you look at Real Madrid and PSG, most of them sign players from other clubs. So you want to go to those clubs first and get those players before the elite clubs get to them. Countries like Belgium, Netherlands, Turkey, Russia, South America as well, Brazil, Argentina, we all know those ones. Try to get your scouts into those regions to scout players and get the very best player list for you. And when you have these players, try to put them in a short list. Remember to take the keep shortlist up to date option. That way your shortlist is going to constantly stay updated with all the player attributes as they improve. So you can go ahead and sign the very best players. In case you want to sell off a player and then you spot another player in your shortlist that is quite good enough, better than anybody else in your squad for that position, you can go ahead and bring him in for a particular fee and then sell off another player to recover the money that you used to buy this other guy. Now this one, I promise you may not have heard before. You want to create a list of all the best players that are not currently at elite club. Now trust me, there are talented footballers that are outside of Football Manager's top tier teams. Most of them don't have attributes all round that may attract the big clubs to try and sign them, but they're good at one thing. They're probably good at free kicks, they're probably good at tackling, or they may be 6'5" and be a centre forward. So imagine having a centre forward that's 6'5", or maybe his pace is like 12 or 13. You want to get that guy in your team because maybe he's 6'5", he's taller than all the centre backs in the Premier League. If you have corners, that guy is going to win the header most of the time. But you notice that he's not 5-star, both current ability and potential ability. So the elite clubs may not really sign him, but you can go ahead and sign this guy. So you can go ahead and make a short list of players that are like that, very good ball-winning midfielders or very good box-to-box players that are good at specific things, but they will not yet be at elite clubs. So you can also add players to this list that are, they're very, very good, but the elite clubs have not yet come for them. They're maybe stuck in Crystal Palace or Watford or whatever. Put a list of those guys out, try to get them into that short list and then study them, track them all the time. Once you have the money to bring them into your squad, go ahead and bring them in. A striker can actually get you 15 plus goals a season, and you probably sign it from a club that maybe was like mid-table or so within your league. The last but not the least is my favorite method, which is the start-based signing of Football Manager. This is probably going to require another detailed video, to be honest. Let me know in the comment section if that's something that you're interested in. But you don't just want to sign players based on their overall attributes or their star ratings or whatever. You want to sign players that are actually doing the job in Football Manager. Now, there are two players. Take it for instance. Now, there are two players. Both of them are 5-star rated, 25 years old, pace 16, 17, very good finishing, very good attributes in all areas that are key for a centre forward. But one of those players has gone on to score over 20 goals consecutively in 3 seasons, and then the other has maybe bagged 12 or 9 goals one season, 12 goals another season, and the other season maybe had like 5 goals. He didn't really play as much, and maybe they have both opportunities to play in their own respective teams. Between these two players, despite the fact that they have similar attributes, one of them is clearly better than the other, and there's proof in the game to show that. So you want to look at players based on their statistics. If you have a central midfielder, you want to sign a central midfielder that's very good at passing, not just with the passing attributes on his player attributes page. Look at his open play key passes, open play assists. These are very strategic stats that you can actually use to find good players that are good at creating chances. For a defensive midfielder, you want to look at his interceptions and his tackling. Players that have very good interceptions per 90. Try to bring those players into a shortlist and then look at their attributes. You're going to see that players that have very good interceptions per 90, they may be players that are very good at reading the game. They have a combination of attributes that work together and allow them to always over-exceed and over-perform in their positions, despite not having super attributes in every area. They're just good. So the problem is, if you're playing the lower leagues, this is where it's most interesting. Once you get to the elite level, you will want to rely on sometimes attributes as well, and also statistics. But once you're in leagues like the Championship or mid-table in the Premier League, you want to go ahead and look for players based on their statistics that have proven they can do the job. So you can go ahead and sign those players and bring them into your team. Now, one more thing you want to do that ties everything up together here is to go ahead and build shortlists. You want to have different shortlists for everything. Like I mentioned, ball winning midfielders, center forward that is very good at pressing, and area presence, center back, any sort of player, just call your shortlist like that. Go ahead and create a shortlist and give them very cute names like I just mentioned, and try to put in those players into the shortlist so you can always refer to that shortlist whenever you need a player. You don't want to be stranded when one of your players in your club decides that he wants to leave the club and then you don't have a replacement for him. You always want to have 3 or 4 or 5 replacements lined up. Very, very good replacement that will come into the team and even be better than the guy that is struggling to leave. So you want to have that kind of list all prepared. So most Football Manager players, they may set up their scouting and shortlist at the beginning of the save and then they forget about it, but you don't want to do that. You want to always have your shortlist and your scouting reports all set up during the game, and you want to constantly review them every few months or so in the game to look at what is new in there. So now you have the 8 systems or 8 methods that you can use to build a super team of Football Manager. The difference between knowing this and doing this actually is quite massive. So most players end up watching this video and then they absolutely do nothing about it. But I want to encourage you to try to fill this into your game, integrate it into your workflow, and try to see how Football Manager changes for you and see how you can push your normal, even elite team to be much better than the very best teams on Football Manager.